We'll turn the time over to Mr. Kohler to present this. This is not a public hearing tonight. It is a public discussion. This is the first step in a process of expanding considering expanding the Heber City annexation boundary map. So like that is the first step in that process, and there'll be many more steps to come in the future. And tonight's meeting is basically for listening to and getting feedback from the public entities that are affected or potentially affected if the boundary map were to change, annexation boundary map were to change, such as school districts, water districts, and county entities, and potentially any other cities or towns that might be affected. So with that, we'll turn the time over to Mr. Kohler to present this to you all, and then we'll open up the floor to any of those public entities that want to make a comment.
Wow, full house. See, so who's here for car Malone stuff? Okay, a few of you. And then the annexation policy that we're talking about right now? Okay. So a good mix of people. So just wanted to know my audience here. So tonight, this is a discussion on the annexation policy plan that we have. The city already has an annexation policy plan. Tonight's a discussion that begins tonight with a public meeting where we sit with our affected entities, who include county, surrounding jurisdictions, and property owners, to talk about potentially altering our annexation policy plan. There are three changes that I'll talk about in just a moment. I just wanted to talk with you about the process. This is the first meeting. The second meeting, if held, would be a public hearing. So this will not be the only opportunity for people to participate in this process. And then the third meeting would be a public hearing with the city council. So we're probably looking at about a 3-month process to complete this process. There are a couple of things prompting this. First of all, the city's been approached by some property owners that have asked the city to look at various areas around the city and consider the ability to annex additional properties. The second is the city council is asked for the general plan to be amended, and I think part of that has been growth related. There's been a lot of growing pains that we've all gone through. We've seen scouts writing to the paper and concerned about growth, and I think the council is responding and saying, we hear you, we need to update our general plan and deal with growth better. So as far as the changes, I've got the map up here. Probably the biggest discussion point is the North Village and Sorensen properties. It's the big green area up on the screen up there. The second one would be on the northwest side of town. You can see we're bounded by a red line. That's the future bypass. And between that point and the current boundary line is what we're talking about. The third area is a small area down by 3000 South that we can zoom in on later if there's questions. It is a small area compared to the other areas. And I'm sure tonight we will also have a discussion with the county about the area east of Mill Road that we've had a gentleman's agreement about not annexing. So I'm sure we'll have a healthy discussion of those. The other part of this process, obviously, is if the city is going to expand the annexation area, we also have to figure out what land uses are going to be there. And I anticipate that some of the comments tonight will probably be related to density. And those are all good discussions that we need to have. I think the county will also have concerns about utilities. And that's what this process is about. The state mandates that we hold these two hearings and that follow, as well as this meeting, with the affected entities so that we can work out any issues, try to avoid overlaps and gaps in jurisdictions and services, and try to make sure we understand what we're all trying to do. So another part that we will need to do is to amend our general land use plan during this process if we expand. Now, the ultimate end of this process, I think there's several results. We could see this exact map adopted. We could see the map shrunk right down to where the current municipal lines are. So don't think that this map is the final say. That's what this process is for, is to talk through the issues and try to figure out what we as a community, the city, the county, and our sister municipalities envision for Heber City. So we do, I know we have several county council members as well as city council and a lot of members of the public that are here tonight, just so that those listening in will know. So I think appropriate tonight, Chairman, I guess is facilitated discussion with our affected entities. So and we do have some of the property owners that have approached the city, and I think it would be appropriate to probably have a discussion with both the affected entities as well as the property owners.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Culler. With that, then, we'll go ahead and open the meeting to any of those affected entities that want to make a public statement. Please come up to the microphone, because this is being broadcast and recorded. So we prefer you to speak into the microphone so that it can be captured. And just come up and state your name and your comments.
Kendall Crittenden, representing, I guess, Heber City resident and also County Council. I guess as I talked, as we looked at this a week or so ago, County Council had a very serious discussion about these proposed annexation additions. They're annexing into two already prepared and functioning service districts. I talked to Mayor McDonald and requested that perhaps this could be put on hold. We discussed that we need to have a meeting and a serious discussion with Heber City Council and probably your planning commission and everything. And I asked if until we can have that, which needs to be sooner rather than later, if this could be put on hold. And I guess I'd request that maybe tonight. Mayor McDonald says, "Oh, this is just an informal discussion tonight." And as I look at the staff report, it's the first of four already kind of scheduled meetings.
Kendall, that's just the fastest that we could go. Understand that those meetings have not been scheduled. Certainly it is possible to delay that.
And that's what, Mayor, I talked to him this afternoon after I saw this, and I said, that doesn't look real informal to me. It's kind of, anyway. Yeah. With that said, I think we need to have a serious discussion about this and about what's going to happen in this area. I guess that would be the only request I make. We have to the County Council, perhaps you consider that and maybe table the whole thing or whatnot after you hear some comments. We'll see where it goes from there.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ron Phillips. I'm General Manager of the Jordanelle Special Service District. We also manage North Village Special Service District. Been asked by our board, who is also the County Council, to make a few comments this evening. And this expanded annexation area is concerning to us. First of all, the proposed annexation policy plan area does not follow the boundaries of existing special service districts as required by Utah Code 10.2.403.6. We ask that you take that under consideration. It includes most of North Village Special Service District, some of Jordan Mills Special Service District area. I've heard various things from various people. We have fairly extensive infrastructure, water rights, and other things in these districts where we serve both water systems and wastewater systems. If the city is planning to take over those, there would be extensive negotiations that would have to take place regarding that. That is not the intention, but the city would be planning to increase densities. We have planned service lines and other infrastructure sized to meet what we anticipate now as the densities in those areas. Increasing the densities would create costs for us in having to increase the size of the infrastructure necessary to serve the area. So we have significant concerns about this. The Twin Creeks, proposed expansion into the Twin Creeks Special Service District, which is another district that we manage, is concerning as well for many of the same reasons. I believe our board also feels strongly that the so-called gentleman's agreement, on not annexing East of Mill Road should be recognized and honored for us to continue to work together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone, did you quote the code again?
10.2.403.6. Is that a state statute?
Yes.
You're citing?
And it's 10-2-403-6.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Phillips. Hey, who else would like to make comments?
I'm Shane Finley. I'm the pastor of Mountain Fellowship, and we own a little bit of the land that's up for being annexed off of right here. And we own an 11-acre parcel that is, well, 4 parcels that add up to 11 acres, 2 of which are city and 2 of which are county. It would help us a lot if it was all in one, if it was all in the city. It would enable us to be able to be more diverse with our land. I know some of the issue of being in the fields is obviously the density issues of annexing, and one benefit would be we're not going to have a lot of building space. We would have more open area space, grassland, some parking. Just something to consider there.
I didn't catch your name, sorry.
Shane Finley.
Shane Finley.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Mike Brash, and I represent our investment holdings, otherwise known as the Sorensen property. And so we probably make up a fairly significant part of the north boundary area there in green. And I guess I would just share generally our feelings. And I spoke about this a couple of weeks ago in the county council meeting, and that is we would certainly never want to be a part of causing any kind of divide or separation between the city and the county. We're about building communities, not tearing communities apart. And so wherever this process goes, we would hope it would in fact improve the relationship between the county and the city, because frankly, from my perspective, having been involved up here for a number of years, from what I've seen, it's been fairly strained. I would hope that whatever comes of this process would bring the county and the city back together again, and maybe combine some of the vision. We support the process. We support the county and what they're trying to do and what they're trying to achieve. And subsequently, if the county and the city came together and felt that it would be better served if our property was to be developed in the city, we would support that. But we certainly want to make sure it's a process whereby that both groups come together and determine that it's in the best interest of both groups for that to happen. And we're happy with how the county has been willing to work with us over a number of years. It's been a long time. I've been working with this project for over 20 years, and certainly, the county has done a lot to bring services and to open up this area. So we support the process. We support the process that the county is trying to do and recognize certainly their vision and their concerns. I would say that there's been another number of people have asked me, and there's been a number of concerns whether we would want to increase our density to come to the city. And I'm here to tell you tonight, we don't have any interest in doing that. We're comfortable with the density that we have approved in the county, and if it were to come into the city, we would ask for no more densities. For us, that's not what it is. That's not what it's going to be about. It will be about because it will be best for both entities and better served through municipal services if that were to take place. So I just wanted to let the city know how the feeling from our company and how we feel as well as the county. And that's what I expressed to the county council the other night. And we will continue to work with them and or the city through this process whatever is needed. So thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else want to make a comment?
Tracy Taylor, I'm a Heber City taxpayer resident. I was at the county council meeting a couple weeks ago, and I'm just a little confused as a citizen of this community. I'm hearing two different things from two different entities and the developer, quite honestly. So, of the North Village property, of the Sorensen property. 2 weeks ago, the developer said that he had not approached the city on any kind of annexation. But he did say in a public meeting that the city is very interested. I have concerns about that as a citizen. I think that I would like to see my city, Heber City, and my county work together and not divide each other up and not pit each other against each other. So my question tonight, and I think it should be answered tonight, right from the start, is who did approach Heber City for this annexation? I think that's only fair for us to know which landowners in all these green areas actually approached the city and applied or at least showed interest in annexation, and who didn't. Because I think that matters in this whole process. And quite honestly, I'm a little concerned as a citizen of Heber City if my city is approaching developers and showing interest without city council guidance first. I feel like that the cart is leading the horse instead of the other way around. So the process of annexation should be that somebody applies for it before it gets put on a map. And we have to discuss expanding our city by double. But I think that's a question that should be answered tonight. Who actually approached the city and who didn't? Thank you.
Oh, Ms. Taylor, let me jump in and Tony can. If the city is ever going to consider any annexation, this is the first step. Whether anybody actually asks for annexation, that hasn't happened yet. Officially, that hasn't happened yet. No one in, but in order for the city to consider accepting an annexation, they have to have it in their annexation boundary map first. So that's what this step step is tonight, is the first step in a long series of steps to whether or not the city will even consider putting these areas into our future annexation boundary map. So, to my knowledge, I don't think anybody has approached the city about any annexations to this point. Mr. Kohler, you can comment on that.
Yeah, you're correct. This is not an annexation. This is a discussion about where potentially the city could talk about potential annexations. So they are a different thing. But I think one important thing that we do need to talk about, it's not just a discussion about expansion. It could be a discussion about, are we going to stop growing? Certainly we do, or at least stop expanding. We do have this area east of Mill Road that I think is very valid for the city to talk about at this time. You're talking about 1.25 square miles of property that are in our current annexation area, and we have a gentleman's agreement to not annex beyond there. If we're not going to annex beyond there, we probably should take it off of our map. Because if it's on the map, we really need to analyze land use, impact fees, capital facilities. And if we're not going to go that way, we really ought to take it off the map and not expend or waste resources in that area. And I think that's a very important discussion. The county is very passionate about that, and I think that's a very valid thing to talk about. And so in that area, we've obviously not had anybody talk to the city other than our politicians and appointed officials who have said, hey, what are we going to do with this area? We do have some interest here. In the church and another property owner that's emailed this. Some property owners down here understand that down here near Charleston, our current annexation boundary, you can see that little hand going up and down. That's about where our annexation boundary is right there. And the property owners are saying, hey, if you're going to consider an annexation of my property, we'd like to either all be in, and so this would allow an entire property to be brought in rather than just the frontage. The sewer fields are already within our sphere of annexation. Down here between Daniel and Heber, that is already within Heber City's sphere of annexation. So one of the changes is obviously this area that's in the North Fields that goes up to the bypass, and I think it is a question about what we do there, because in the rest of the city said it's going to grow up to the eastern edge of the bypass. And so I think it is worth asking the question, does the city want to do that, or does the city want that to remain agriculture? What are the plans? Up here, we have the Wasatch view that's currently in the city's sphere of annexation. And then we have up Coyote Lane that is already in the city's sphere of annexation that includes Hutchinson's property up on the north. And then north of there, we do have a property owner that has inquired that the city investigate this. Like I said before, just asking the question doesn't mean that this is a slam dunk. As we go through this process, the city could very well determine that it's not in the interest. This is just a question that we ask as we are leading up to reanalyze our general plan, and you bring up some good points, Tracy, that it may not be a good idea. But that's why we're here tonight.
Mr. Quitman?
Tony, as was asked by,
Could you, sorry, because this is being broadcast, could you speak into the microphone? All those hundreds of thousands of people out there want to listen to your voice.
a lot of county council, they could see us. As Mrs. Taylor asked for, who is that property owner up there that's talked?
Terry, deal. Does someone talk to us about that?
Hey.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Aaron Baker. My family owns some property in the area on the southwest side of town. And a portion of our property is already inside the boundary, and we would appreciate the consideration.
Where the map is there now?
Yes, kind of by the 189 right there. So a portion's in and a portion's not. So we would appreciate your consideration of all the property being within the boundaries as consideration. So,
Okay, your name one more time?
Aaron Baker.
Aaron Baker, thank you.
Thank you.